Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second best of three here today. ig.Vitality taking on ehome in the Shanghai Dota Open. I've also taken liberty to actually read up a little bit on what this tournament's actually about, and we are in the first round of the playoffs, actually, in the quarterfinals. CDC just won against ehome.keen, and next opponent will be lgd.forever. Yanko won 2-0 against Braveheart. Those two loser teams will meet in the lower brackets. But right now, I've got ig.Vitality versus ehome. One of this one will face up against Newbie versus Vici Gaming, which is a game that will happen tomorrow, first thing in the morning here, 1400 Chinese time. My name is Dragondrop. I'm joined by PqMz for this particular game. Welcome back, man. Thanks for joining.
And this has to be one of the most standard openers you can ever see in Dota 2 in this meta. Team first picks Batrider, and then draws in the pool. Oracle obviously to deal with the Batrider. Very, very strong duo. Only thing I'm slightly surprised about is that the Chinese team really likes OD recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets picked up, but at the same time, don't really like it into Drow. I feel like Drow just hits the timing that OD's uncomfortable dealing with.
Just looking at the heroes that these two teams picked last month, OD actually shows up more for ig.Vitality, so for them it could be an interesting extra addition. Just someone out of the middle lane that can provide so much more extra right-click damage. But the mid
I
game
don't
is a
think they're
fairly
getting
solid
it second
laner.
stage.
Uh,
I think if a team wants it, they have to get it now. Because the thing is, when you have a drow that can pretty much solo carry the game for the first 30 minutes or so, that then you just have a mid laner that can effectively buy a 4-staff or a blink dagger and save you from lasso, etc. It just makes the game so hard to play. Like Oracle, SD in conjunction with OD is just insanity to play against, and no pun intended with the ult or whatever. On top of that, the synergy from the aura as well as the Oracle heals just sustains pushes forever. I'd be really surprised if they get the chance to pick it.
also one banner they have to ban it pretty damn soon here. ehome might not be thinking about it though, which could end up biting them in the ass, but hey. So sometimes they do get themselves the Earth Spirits, so it's a lot of pressure potential here actually coming through for anyone that they put in the middle lane. They get rid of the Husker first, also one of these heroes that you don't want to be surprised by, even more so than the OD in certain drafts.
Yeah, Huskar's always a valid ban when Oracle's in the pool. Or picked, sorry.
10 seconds remaining.
So
I feel like
next,
it's
5
awkward
seconds
for
remaining.
ehome here though, because Earth Spirit can be very good against Oracle,
Reserve
but
time.
that's mostly because silence is effectively instant if you know what you're doing. But for the rest of the game, Oracle's really good against both these heroes. The damage output's going to be minimal if the Oracle is in position and casts his spells correctly. And they're both heroes that have to commit very far into the fights to get their things done, so that it's very easy for them to get punished by excessive amounts of right clicks with Drow Aura.
yep. So both these heroes got nerfed in their base damage department. It's only really going to affect the laning stage to some degree. But later down the line, you're not gonna feel a thing about that. And they're gonna hit hard and they're gonna hit fast and with pretty decent range.
5
Even from a
seconds
support,
remaining.
puny support like the Oracle. But yeah, with the OD being banned out as well, rightly so for ehome, that does open up the pool for a bunch of other things, including the IO strat coming through. And that just widens the pool of available materials considerably as well, on top of what they already had available to them.
It also lets them play the game a lot differently because Drow strats like the idea of grouping up and hitting their timings and applying as much pressure to towers as possible. But when you have Wisp, it suddenly becomes really scary to split push against that as well. Whereas before, you could normally have things like Morphling, Batrider pushing lanes. Now there's ways to punish that. So I really like the Wisp. It
Potential
is a
takeaway from
tiny bit
ehome.
susceptible in like the first 5 minutes of the game, but if they can get past that and hit their stride, it's really, really strong.
What if ehome would have also thought about that? Because Wisp plus the Batrider is one of those classic combos where you just lead off with the Batrider initiation, have that IO +1 come in to secure the kill, but obviously it's not going to be an option for them now. It's the Weaver. It's gonna be the pickup. Okay. So just to try and dodge the
10
drow,
seconds
but
remaining.
then
It's a hero that does really well at
5
getting onto the
seconds
back lines
remaining.
and killing these supports that kind of enable their cause. It's always
Reserve
been a
time.
hero that's considered very strong against Wisp. You can scout him out in the trees with Swarm, so it's harder for him to get the relocates off when you're going on another hero. And he can always Sakuchi past the frontliners to effectively blow up the supports because he normally has for damage. I
it's gonna be
don't like it against Drow though as a matchup because when you do get silenced, you're not really a Manta buying hero, and BKBs generally are delayed items, and you can't sit there and take right clicks.
no,
You're very fragile.
it's one thing I'm worried
But
about, especially if it looks like to be a one position Weaver. If you get
eHome's
caught out
turn to pick.
then like a lot of damage output. You were talking about that the magic damage is not really going to be as scary as long as the Oracle's on the field throwing out Fate's Edict and false promises and whatnot. So they're gonna need to have some sort of right click coming through.
10 seconds
Not just to the
remaining.
supports, but also eventually the Drow Ranger to just prevent her from running
5
rampant. And
seconds remaining.
another hero to help enable her is going to be Axe now being picked up by ig.vitality.
Reserve time.
Lot more strong lockdown. And
Dire
the
team
Alchemist
battle.
response? Is that too passive or is that just uh, the way for Eon to go? Just try and have that farm in the midst to give them some sort of fallback potential.
it's not quite the way I
10
was
seconds
thinking they'd
remaining.
go. But Alk's one of those heroes
5
provides
seconds remaining.
inevitability, especially when so far all of their heroes use Ags really effectively.
Reserve time.
And Weaver's one of those heroes that can move from the safe lane really early and provide a lot of pressure and make space for the Alk to hit jungle creeps, etc. So
eHome's
I
turn to
wouldn't
battle.
be too surprised if they just make the Weaver very fighting heavy, move him around the map a lot, and try and capitalize on a window where he's
eHome's turn
like
to
level
pick.
5, level 6, maybe has one or two small items and just cause some havoc. And then he can scale into the game a bit later. Because I don't see eHome winning this
10
if they
seconds
play very
remaining.
passive and just try and hit item timings and then do
5
one or two
seconds
smoke ganks. I think
remaining.
they have to be a lot more proactive about how they approach
Dire
this game,
team
and
pick.
with how they're drafting their supports and with the Weaver and Batrider being very strong cores when they're supplemented by like the supports they're picking now, I think it's quite obvious they're going to do that. The tree's
10 seconds
weird
remaining.
though. The hero died out with very good reason. There aren't a lot of instances
5
to break
seconds
the armor,
remaining.
so you're going to mitigate a lot of damage, and it might keep the heroes alive that like get silenced or get
Reserve
called.
time.
But
But
I feel like it's just bad against Drow and Agi carries in general who are going to buy Diffusal or they're going to buy Manta, and they don't really care about your route. So it's mostly for the armor and the invis
yeah, that's the thing
and the
about Treant
tanky body.
Protector. Is there's just a very limited window where it's going to be really effective, which is like early on if you mention a bunch of few people and just with the armor potentially turning around things. I mean, Treant Weaver used to be a very nasty thing to be up
Yeah, that was the
against.
thing. Like
Um,
TI free time.
exactly.
That
Yeah,
hero.
it's because Weaver was very dangerous. He still is, especially if you let the bugs nibble away at you a little bit early. Plus the Geminate attack, he can do a ridiculous amount of damage early on. And the Treant Protector taking care of like his vulnerability, his squishiness in the early stages of the game to some degree. Uh, it's nice to have, but yeah, Treant is a hero that's I feel like he often struggles to find something useful to do after that point.
Well, the reason I think they feel comfortable going with it is because Elk can give him the axe, and then he
Yep.
becomes a huge vision tool that enables the Batrider. And the extra damage from axe is also relevant because their team will want as much as possible. But IG grabs a Storm, which is a hero that gets a very good job of exploiting this lack of
10
disable.
seconds remaining.
You will have a hard time early though, because Earth Spirit or Treant sitting
5
and punching
seconds
you in the
remaining.
lane is not something Storm deals very well with, even if he's got IO helping out with regen, etc. He will most likely have a horrible laning stage if ehome decide they want to pressure him. But at the same time,
Prepare for battle.
he just has to get to a point in the game where he's relevant, and it's going to be such a good Storm game.
Yeah. Early
But
lockdown
they are
indeed.
tanky, but they just can't lock him down.
All they really have is the lasso, and which
That's
can be
like
mitigated by
just by
Lincolns,
Lincolns
exactly.
or IO
Yeah.
or Axe just calls him so you don't get the force staff away. There's like so many ways that the lasso isn't viable to initiate on Storm.
After that, it's pretty much just the Earth Spirit, but I think I might have to restart Dota real quick, as I do have a few FPS issues that should not be there. So I'm just gonna hope
I
that.
don't want to jinx anything, but it's smooth.
I'm just gonna hope that nothing crazy will happen in them.
I really like what ehome did at the start though, where they moved the Batrider to get this hill ward, which against an IO is always nice because you get vision of the jungle and you get vision of the rotations. And they've also got a really deep lane ward for the mid lane, which is going to allow whoever goes mid on ehome to know exactly what's happening with the wisp. Because if they're using the Earth Spirit or the Treant to apply pressure, they don't want to go too deep and get punished.
Right. Here, back into the game, so no action missed, thankfully.
Nothing important, minus some nice wards.
Yep.
And X starting in the jungle, blocking the mid lane, pretty standard stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if the IO stacks 1 or 2 camps for him and does some bottle growing. Because I don't think the Storm's gonna have like the need of the chicken for the first 2 minutes of the game.
Nope.
Depending how well he CS's, you never know. But you could maybe do some shenanigans. The Wisp does need to take damage for that to matter. But for now, just zoning the bat is the way to go. They can do a lot of damage with the aura.
Still being level 1 is not a whole lot they can do against this here. No sticks just yet on the Oracle. Wisp going for a straight up bottle. You can imagine some sticks will come out soon here, at least on the Oracle here. And the IO
as
as
soon as
quick
they
as
have money.
possible.
This is like the most important thing you can do at this stage of the game as a support. Sure, it's nice to stack or help your mid lane, etc. But if you stop this Batrider getting levels, the game just becomes so much easier for you. Especially as a hero that can really mess up Drow. Like when he does have levels, he's going to force the supports to be here constantly. So why not just invest for time now, stop him getting the levels, and their response is to use Treant to force the supports away.
Yep.
And
Also,
this is
Sentry of his own, but
really
no one.
weird.
Yeah, nothing on the outside of iG.V can actually spot him. Yeah, you want to put the first point up in the nature's guys. I think he was looking initially for a courier snipe or something. Because it was about the time where it went out, but it went to the top lane instead of the middle lane. So it's, I don't know, a bit of a weird rotation. Now that means he has no living armor available to help out anybody.
It's more like the lack of leech seed for trading the axe, but I suppose what he wants to do is just apply pressure by being there, as opposed to actually going for kill potential. Leech as much experience as possible and just run him around the map and stop him farming. And then not give up any kills by overextending through taking the guys. Unfortunately, he hasn't managed to get any experience from him yet, but if he's not needed bottom, then what else can he really do except pull?
Yep.
And I think you would much more value slowing down the axe than pulling for any amount of farm.
Well,
His
does
axe
get
is
us level
almost
3 off the wave, so it does get the call on Alchemist, but I need a little bit of extra body blocks. They actually get
Oh,
a
wow.
range for the early electric vortex. That'll net them a kill.
That's
First
so
blood,
worth it if
yeah.
you can actually get a kill.
Don't
People
often
normally
see it.
never skill
Yeah, exactly.
vortex, but yeah, that took me by surprise as well. So it definitely took the Alco by surprise. And now they're getting a
Oh,
bonus
but
kill.
he's level
Unless he
1,
can
he's
deny.
nothing. The block was all. Oh, what? He just got the deny off. Oh man. These
A bit of
Thunder Hides, they
fortune.
punch for quite a bit, apparently.
Yeah. Ancient creeps are pretty strong at minute 3.
The more you
That's
know.
not news to anyone, I hope.
Well, for at least they still get that Alchemist kill, which is nice to have. If they can do that a couple more times, then Alch might be at a point where he needs to spend more time farming and less time actually pressuring. And an Alchemist who's not ahead by a considerable margin is something that you don't have to worry about all that much. So killing him a couple more times would achieve that for sure. But well, stacking, we set it for from the Wisp and from the Axe for the jungle. Stormsword can also take some jungle stacks here instead of iG.V, but ehome, they also have a lot to gain from stacking themselves. Is this something that the Treant could actually be doing instead of what he's doing right now?
As I said with the pulling, I think it's better that he tries and contest the farm, because if you look at Axe, he's level 3, which, if he's in the off lane, you can warrant that, but considering you went for the Iron
Nothing on top
Talon,
lane.
you'd want him.
Big commitment here to Drow Ranger. They will find it with this, all the fire burning it down, and also secondary kill on the Wisp. Block fights versus Guardian, and he will get the roll out. Not committing for the fight any further. 2 for 1 up here. This Batrider stacked up a few too many charges, but looks of it.
Yeah, considering how much they zoned him early, the second the Wisp moved away and he started having access to the hard camp, he just shot up in levels. And now Drow's in a really awful spot because the Oracle has to go heal up, he doesn't have mana, and if ehome realizes this, then the Drow can just die straight up. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a tower, the bat's just gonna dive you. And he already has like
Fudge,
huge
yeah.
move speed advantage. He has the Windlace as well as Tranquils, so...
Alex around here finds a small camp stack, so guess whatever works. Meanwhile, mids do find the Alchemist again. All right.
I'm really surprised they're
Quick
getting
movement.
this much done early. I feel like it's ehome that want to be getting a similar amount of kills and lane pressure to what IG is actually doing. There's one level in Remnants, sorry, in Pull is doing a lot of work. Because Alk's actually ridiculously squishy early. Especially with Drow Aura. And Wisp is one of the best heroes at coming into a lane and not showing that he's there because he can tether from so far away.
Dire's bottom
I
Yeah,
think
this
they're
is
just
going really,
swapping
really good for
bottles.
IG.
I think they're also just swapping bottles between Wisp and Stormsword a little bit. But now once again, Old Chicken in trouble
Yeah, he's dead
too.
again.
Yeah. A little bit of extra damage here. This time around, though, the living armor not quite enough to keep him safe. Enough to force a bit more of a commitment here, but Storm's already level 7. So nothing they can do to actually keep him here. Still has enough to zip at least once across the cliff. Yeah, that's a Stormsword with 3 kills at a 6.5 minute mark.
Yeah, and I did not... Like, sure, Storm and Io is a strong lane, but I really expected ehome to move their supports here and try and prevent this from happening, because while Alk's not the strongest laner, a Treant right-clicks for like 90 damage at level 1. You put Acid Spray on top of that on a hero that has, you know, mediocre base armor. They really feel it really quickly.
Top lane,
But
this might be bait. Old 11 silence up. Dogfights and Paparazzi, they're committing for it, but now look at this. Sylar and Guardian coming in. Nice little flame break here to separate Paparazzi, burning back into the flames, and they will secure secondary and a tertiary kill. A little
that's
ball
really,
of light.
really good.
Yeah, nothing left to give there.
Like the first rotation from Sylar to the mid lane didn't accomplish anything, but that one pays him big.
Dire's top tower is under
Kind
attack.
of almost negates the fact that Storm's doing so well mid. Because now the Drow's gonna like continue to struggle. The Batrider got a few too many levels, so he's not having like a completely free lane, and now the Weaver's doing what I was thinking he'd do in the drafting, just come up here and cause havoc. He can also push the tower pretty easily. Sure, they lose the tree at bottom, but you need someone to soak this lane, and if you die doing it, it kind of sucks, but it's better than just leaving it open.
Let's help out for July's blink timing, unless he wants to go back for Vanguard, but this one seems like
I
a blink
think he
game.
just goes blink.
Batrider
wants
is the
the
same path
initiation.
though. They're both on very similar timings when it comes to blinks, so this is a matter of who decides to farm more at this point.
I think the Batrider's gonna try and pressure a bit more than he is gonna hit creeps at this stage.
LAN instead
I
again
feel-
if they have
Dire's
detection.
top tower has fallen.
Yeah, I
They
feel
do
like
not.
that's so cocky to go for if they had detection. Which they don't even need if they just hit the walls, which they do.
Fall into
And
call, it's like it's like going
I,
through the beach with like a metal detector and then just digging out the metal, digging out all the coins.
I feel like when your Weaver's pushing the tail on top completely uncontested, it's kind of obvious that their supports can be in that area, and just TPing down there to die again is, you know, the first death, okay, it happens. He's a much stronger hero than you, and your supports didn't, or your other cores didn't come and help you. That's fine.
Dire's top
But
tower
dying
is
again
under
on
attack.
top of the tower that was already going to die just is unnecessary gold in IG's pocket.
ig.vitality, a bit of a decent spot. Once again, smoke up. Sylar joining the party here together with Gara. And they will find a few heroes here. Dogfights tanks the roll though into the silence from the Drow, stopping the soul aggression. Only means that dogfights, well, they should end up falling. 1-for-0 trade. Best that iG.V could hope for at this stage. Kada, he didn't get the memo. He's still fighting up against old chicken.
That was greedy.
He's
But
trying
I
to
think
TP out
it's
now,
okay.
and oh no!
Or not.
The stone hitting him at just the last second.
It just feels like unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
Like, I saw him go in and I was like, I highly doubt you have enough damage to do this, even with Drow, and even if you do get the kill, you're giving your life for it. You're already winning the farm war against Elk, like he doesn't have an armlet at 10 minutes, that's like ridiculously slow. You can have armlet at 6 if you have a good start.
Yep.
So,
Radiant's middle
that's a
tower
problem
is under
for them.
attack.
You know, it was really good that like the Drow gusted the initiation and then the Wisp could get away with haste room, but now they're just bleeding. Unnecessary kills, which is exactly what ehome want. They want the Weaver getting involved, using his early game items and making space for the Batrider to get a blink, making space for the Alk to either catch up or continue to get ahead. Unfortunately in this case it's catching up, as he's only just finishing his armlet at 10 minutes. He can still fight at this stage though, as long as the Weaver's forcing them to run. Like Swarm and Acid Spraying fights is really hard to deal with. Especially when both your supports have like 2 armor.
Yeah, I can try and stop the bleeding now. Lai has Blink Dagger.
This is good
Batrider
smoke as
has
well.
it in
Radiant's
the
middle tower is under attack.
stash, so similar timings, but iG.vitality is gonna hit right now. Waiting in the wings, good position here, but they need to find the right target, and it'll be an old chicken. His ultimate still decent time left on it now. The counter initiation, silence comes through, but so does Gara. Oracle dies first, also dies second. Sylar in the midst of all that. Benefactor of this particular double kill, and now perhaps looking for more Angel. I cannot afford to try and get rid of this bug, so it's just gonna have to let it time out. Sylar knew exactly where he was going, and now one's tracking him down. Meanwhile, mids, they do finish off the Wisp, so that'll
Radiant's
be
top tower is under
probably
attack.
4 heroes going down if he wants to commit even further, but now with a blink out into Loving Arms for Oracle, that should be that for in July at the very least. I find himself in the
And they
stack
can
here.
recall.
Sylar, silence up. They don't have any more catch though.
If he didn't
Radiant's
Sakuchi
top
there,
tower
he
is
was
under attack.
possibly dead. So, really good for ehome. Punishing that dive from iG.V is so important. Like, if you lose control of this tier 1 tower mid, and
Blink Lasso in July. Get some help with the Fate's Edict. Not a lot of damage being done here. We'll be able to just blink out. Crazy to
balance
see, but hey.
well. To be fair, the Batrider had to hit him when Lasso was
Yeah.
over, otherwise you just blink away. So it's a misplay on his end, but he still wasn't getting the kill. And like, if iG.V do get the tower here,
Are fortified.
you can't really say it's a good exchange when they just get wiped and they're running at it again and they're committing a lot of resources. And they're not even getting it because this is where Trian is at his best, when you can defend the tower.
Blink call, finds Sylar, and that's a big kill with a dunk.
He was on IG Shreds. Pretty sure that's why he died.
Was it that close with the threshold?
I'm pretty sure on Strength Shreds he would have lived because he had
Yeah.
the time-lapse animation, so he could have wandered in that time as well, which would have been fine. And unfortunately, you know, living armor was on cooldown. And the Spirit was on like completely different side of the river.
Another blink call here,
Lane.
needing a few more spins. Sylar comes back with a buyback, so we really need to get something off this right now. Cicada gets the false promise. Don't have too much mana to play with though, and now they're all just being kept in the fire. He will pop, so will the Wisp, so 3 for 1 in the end. Sylar gets a
Good
double
buyback.
kill, so yeah. This early, the buybacks,
Is under attack.
It's completely worth.
is completely worth it, especially because you don't actually get this penalty time for too long.
Yeah, it's like by the time you TP the penalties out,
Yeah.
that's how short it is. And you know, going back to the point of defending this tier 1 tower, ehome is making it abundantly clear, if you want to push this tower, you have to go through us, and Weaver is at a stage where you can't really fight him unless you blow him up, which they did, but
Came
the
back.
problem is he bought back, and buybacks aren't normally something you take into account in the first 20 minutes of the game. You see them occasionally when you're overcommitting, but it's normally supports that do it. Cores very rarely have like the spare gold, but in this case, it's really good punish, and he's still top of the net worth even with that, because it's very easy to get your gold back.
Do you think he
The only thing that
wants
the
to go back?
problem is,
Yeah. Do you think he
Sorry,
wants to
go
go
on.
back for some sort of defensive item, or you think he's just gonna finish up the Desolators right now?
it's a really bad Lincoln's game at the moment, so I imagine you just go Deso. You have like enough damage once you get that point that they should be running away from you as opposed to going on you. As long as you don't get axe called into Storm, into Gust, and you get picked off that way, which no item's going to save you from, you know, in the same gold range. You know, even Heart dubiously saves you at that point. If they commit all in on you, I think you're dead. So just play with good positioning and get a Deso and capitalize on your mobility. Because it's not like he's squishy at this point. They do have to commit a lot on
Alright, so
him.
he might be in trouble. Blink Lasso. They also see Super there. No defensive relocate channel. It's just starting it now, but Silence is there. Plus the lockdown from Lanham. That's a double kill. Coming their
Good
way.
Spirit. That's really, really good for them.
He's been on point this game. Guardian.
I'm pretty sure he's an Spirit spammer, so you know, you can very easily see the difference between an okay Spirit player and someone who really knows what they're doing. And considering how badly the Zalk's farming, the rest of the game's going really well for them. You know, you want your Radiance done at this stage. He doesn't even have the Relo. So the fact they're able to make the space for him and have Sylar kind of put the game on his back is it's looking promising. Because I actually wanted to get a lot more done at this stage. That, you know, you'd want the tier 1 mid, definitely. You'd probably want Roshan as well. They haven't been able to get any of that. And that's all because like Weaver's so active early.
Okay, I think I'll have to restart OBS in a second because I'm still having FPS issues.
Rip Strum.
Yeah. Looks like
And-
ehome will be able to get out, so let me just do that real quick. No panic, guys. I'm just gonna restart real quick. Something's going on. I have no idea. No shit FPS in Dota for no reason whatsoever. Hey, stream is
Is
back
OBS
online.
broken?
I don't know what's going on. Shouldn't have these kind of issues, but hey. I have to reconnect to the game again, but right now, just hope that it fixes itself pretty soon.
Oh, it's normally perfect world that gives you problems. Now it's the opposite.
I have to check my setup. But hey, for now
Oh,
we're gonna
well.
stick with it, and hope that you guys don't mind too much.
Production value, boys.
Talk to me about production value. I came in here, just running up the stairs this morning, just to cast this.
Excuses, excuses. You're not allowed.
Of course. iG.V, like, they're really desperate to look for something here right now, as I said earlier as well. So it's trying to bait out paparazzi, but at this point it's gonna have to be super obvious, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And showing the heroes mid like this is a really good position
Oh,
to
they're
block the
still
smoke.
gonna get Gallia on old 11, jump in from Cicada. They do try to dunk, but they do miss it for just a little bit. The Kakashi is channeled up, but Silence is still. The old chicken will actually stun himself on July, still be kept alive in the midst of all that with Io, but now Earth Spirit on top of the lockdown from the tray. Claim 3 kills, add a 4th one perhaps. Dark fights might still pop in the fountain. And he will, despite the self. Trying to put him over the threshold, but it's a 4-for-1 trade. And just disrespecting this Veil level 2 Magnetize.
Oh, he has Veil? Holy shit. Yeah, that's scary. Especially as like they're fighting into such a huge choke point where the Radiance, Acid Spray, Swarm, Magnetize, they're all ticking and doing a lot of damage. And sure, you get one hero that gets picked off with your smoke for the ward, but you have to look at like the end game of that smoke. You know, you're sat here. It's kind of obvious. You know, from our point, it's obviously a lot easier. But I think the players would have very
Keep
easily
going,
known
Blink
that's
call here, Lanham actually very low, Scala blinks in into the silence! And now follow-up silence as well, this time from his own teammate, Paparazzi, setting up for killing an old chicken. Once again, the dunk will miss, Cicada still focusing on Guardian here, not quite able to bring him down. That last right click, not enough to finish him off, and now Lazio right on the tower, into Kakashi. Well, it's being dodged, Cicada is still alive! Super with the extra heals together with Dark Fights. He was dead like 9 out of 10 times. Replayed that same segment. How do you survive there?
Hey, Storm, good hero.
Thanks, Osrog.
But that's all set up from Axe. Like
Yeah.
that call is so
That was a
good.
really good one. Yeah.
They get the Aegis down. They kill effectively the highest net worth hero in Weaver. You know, Alk has more net worth, but Weaver does more. Also, speaking of Weaver, he went for Diffusal instead Deso, which I definitely agree with, considering you have to factor in the Edict as a disarm on top of the Silence. It's probably more damage output in the end. Plus, the chase potential is not something to scoff at if you have to use them aggressively.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, iG.V still in this year, right? I mean, they
Oh yeah,
the kill
for sure.
score not really doing them any favors if you look at network distribution. Maybe also not that big, but you have to think about, all right, this is an alchemist. He's supposed to be this far ahead. Then you look at the heroes of iG.V. You look at the Storm with a 16 charge Bloodstone, and the Drow who's not that far behind, not as far behind as he could be, I suppose.
Yeah, considering they're in a okay spot, it's just you would like to maybe see 1 or 2 extra towers going down and the Rosh in their favor. But if they don't
the
get
smoke
that,
immediately broken here. Old chicken, he finds the lasso. False promise comes out though. Stop Paparazzi, and now all of a sudden, old 11, bit of a solo position as Stormsword comes in the back here, just takes Earthspirit out of the fight. Old chicken and old 11 force the fight on their own. Sala comes in, finishes up the Oracle, and it's calling the general retreat. Cicada will be able to handle himself as relocate. Takes care of in July. Actually, relocating back out is what's coming in with that. Okay, that is not ideal though. Paparazzi had no one left to help him. Tracked down by Sylar.
they just don't quite have the items on Storm yet for that to go favorably. Like, he had a DD rune, he went on the 2 supports, and you know, Veil on the Earth Spirit, Tree is naturally tanky with Urn and his stick, so he just couldn't do any damage, and then they chase down his cores while he's not helping them.
That more space for Alchemists to keep farming up. Gonna be a BKB next year with the Oak Club, or is it gonna be already Naganum Scepter?
It is a BKB. I really like this because
Oh, there it is already.
he is actually very strong in fights if he can frontline, but going in with like Gust doing your concoction, the damage from Blade Mail, etc.
In July is in a bit of spot of bother, to say the least. Now being slowed down by the Diffusal Blade. Paparazzi trying to help, but now exposing himself. That ultimate comes through for keeping him in line. Finally finish off the axe. Stormsword actually went in to try and help, but falls
It's
two.
1 by 1.
Just casual chain feed here. Oracle in the back being taken care of by Sylar.
And that's
rid of that
basically a
edict.
team fight in ehome's favor. The Alk doesn't have to pop BKB. They're in a position to take a tier 1 tower. Unfortunately, there's no creep wave currently there, so they can get some damage in on the tier 2, but it'll get there eventually.
Was there any
And
scenario that iG.V could have actually taken that fight more favorably? I mean, obviously they made the conscious decision to
they
not
could have
let
just
the
not been
axe
there.
die. Yeah.
Yeah, save your friend syndrome kind of bites them in the ass. They just needed to cut their losses. I feel like they're not understanding how much they need. Because the few fights that went favorably for them were like Axe getting a blink call on 2 heroes under like 4-5 creeps with Blade Mail on top, and then suddenly the fights look like you're really strong. But the past few fights, they've split in a situation where Storm's trying to kill the supports, and he can't do that yet because he doesn't have his first or second damage item. And then if he does kill them, then he's committing in and losing his Bloodstone charges, which is not something he wants to do. You know, Weaver and Alk aren't even taken into account for him yet. I think that's pretty much on the Drow and Axe. That's becoming increasingly hard as Alk's starting to build up some armor. When he's got armlet on and a BKB, he's not dying as long as his team is, you know, in and around. There's even mech on Earth Spirit now. Kind of surprised he went for it, considering. But I think they just realized IG lack damage now, so they want to exploit this window as much as possible. You know, it's not normally an item you go back for, but you can just see the fact that they're so much stronger at this stage.
iG.V, they're still lacking the tools to not just do damage, but also deal with the type of control that ehome has to offer. I mean, at this point in the game, this overgrowth has proven to be extremely strong time and time again, just keeping them close together, or keeping them there where they are. They can just focus on one after the other. So
It's
just having to
honestly
chase them
just
down.
like stopping people auto-attacking in good positions as well. Like,
Yep.
they can't auto-attack, run away, and start kiting you. They're just sitting there taking damage. And if you're on top of Drow, then guess what? Half of her damage is already down the drain. I really like how they're playing this, and Weaver going for the Diffusal Manta. So he's about as survivable as you'll ever expect a Weaver to be at this point, unless you factor in Scaddy, which is a very rare item. Most people opt for Deso.
So TP down to defend this bottom lane. Alchemist not really all that scared with his level 3 ultimate going right now. He's at a point where he's doubling up the net worth, almost doubling up the net worth of the highest farm on the side of ig.vitality, and this is not a good statistic to have against you.
Especially when yes, Storm is the late game king here, but he's gonna need a lot more time. Like, a lot more time. 30-40 minutes, and a favorable 30-40 minutes at that. He can't just be sitting in his base taking creeps at like 1 or 2 waves a minute. And the way iG.V make things like this happen are starting to use the axe to split, get the relocate ganks, but ehome aren't giving them easy options for that.
Grouping up as 5 here, in a good position to just react and just pounce on anybody who dares come too close.
This is like the worst thing they can do, is sit 5 heroes at their tier 3 while their tier 2 dies. But they're just scared. Like, Storm doesn't feel comfortable split pushing, I guess. Or maybe they thought they want to take a fight and they're gonna do some kind of smoke now. Which I don't think is the best way of going about this. They do have the Orchid timing, so that might catch the home off guard. But I feel like they're just not hitting creeps enough on Storm at the moment.
Don't even have to smoke with them, they're just standing there, just...
Well, they're scared right
really
now, they have no
scared.
vision. That's why. At first I thought it might have been a smoke, but they probably think ehome is somewhere around here and waiting to punish them for stepping out, because they want to do it as 5. And now they catch them with the scan so they know where they are. Drow's slightly split from the team.
Dogfights is there, but first stuff gets him outside of range and false problems for a little bit. Now in July with the counter here, that's a nice little call on 3 heroes. Paparazzi, well, might still pop to it in the end, and he will. Enough damage being done, and it's all down to the Storm, but he gets lifted up while the rest of his team just dies. He's forced to make his way out. They do have the overgrowth. iG.V are just gonna call it right now. GG, well played.
That's understandable.
Absolutely.
ehome just kind of never gave them what they needed, which all comes down to not giving them the tier 1 and winning 1 or 2 fights on the back of it as well. It's not like they just defended it, they got a ginormous amount of income from winning those fights.
Yep.
And the Treant pick ended up being like worth its weight in gold at the end. So Lanham really smart.
Yep. Get this kind of game where skill set is exactly what you need, then yeah, obviously it's gonna shine. So definitely a good draft for ehome, good execution. And ig.vitality, well, just I don't know. Could they have found a way back in if they split it up, if they tried to defend high ground instead of just fighting outside the base? Picked off?
I think they could definitely have played from behind. They just, it doesn't look like they're in the mentality to do it. Because they wanted to group up a lot, and you always see that they wanted to get something done. They probably got super agitated by the fact they couldn't get the tier 1 down. They were losing fights in a position where they would deem themselves to be strong, because the Axe had a decent blink timing. The Storm had a really good laning stage, but Storm's not a hero that translates from the lane to the 10-minute mark like Viper, Razor, more snowbally heroes. You know, he wants to take that lead and continue building on it. And I think they tried to push it a bit too much.
Right, so with that, we'll take a bit of a break, and we will be back in just a moment with game number 2. So don't go anywhere.